Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using Spellbinders' brand new Woodland Tales collection. Now there are lots of different products that are part of this collection. I selected just 4 of them to use. But if you are interested, I will add a link to the full collection in the description box below. I selected the beautiful Woodland Tail gems. There are 72 pieces and these are absolutely stunning. There's gold glitter embedded inside. I also have the 6x6 printed paper. It includes 20 sheets and 4 of the designs have beautiful gold foil detail. This collection is also available in 12x12, so if you prefer the larger size, that is an option. I'll go through the 10 designs so you can get an idea of what's included. There are so many beautiful images. The sweet little fox is one of my favorites, and I absolutely love the gold foil detail. The nice thing about the papers, you could use these year-round. They aren't fall specific, except for maybe one of the designs that has all the lovely autumn trees. And since I tend to make multiples of the same card, I love having 2 of each design. Another thing I really like about Spellbinders' newer paper collections, they're not attached in a paper pad, so you don't have that glue adhesive at the very top. Sometimes you have to trim off that piece and then your paper isn't actually 6x6 size. The other 2 products I picked up that are part of the Woodland Tales collection are the 2 ephemera packs. This first one is Woodland Tales die cut shapes. So many beautiful designs. The colors and images match perfectly with the pattern paper. The set includes 2 of each shape and you'll receive a total of 86 die cut pieces. And many of the die cut shapes also have that lovely gold foil finish. To go along with the die cut shapes, I also have the die cut sentiments. This pack includes 72 pieces. There are 2 of each sentiment. And there's a great variety of sentiments that you can use year-round. Several general sentiments, thinking of you, hello. There's happy birthday, congratulations, smile, thank you. I think all of the actual sentiment is gold foil, but some of them have beautiful images around them. Others are just simply a banner or a standalone sentiment. Using the 4 items from the Woodland Tales collection, I have 6 different card designs to share with you. So let's go ahead and get started with card design number 1. I have all of my cards prepped and stored in Spellbinders craft stack trays. This is the medium size. For this first card, I'm rounding the bottom 2 corners and I'm using Spellbinders 1-2 punch. On one side of the punch, it cuts out a notch and the other side rounds the corner. I'll round the corner of the pattern paper and also the cardstock layer. And this is just cardstock from my stash. For a little extra detail, at the bottom of the card panel, I'm adding some Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the white color with gold overlay in the pinstripe style. I'm using the widest and the medium width. I'll cut the peel-offs just a little bit wider than the panel, wrap the ends around the back, put ATG tape on the back, and layer this piece on some burgundy cardstock. The background pattern paper piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and the cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. So 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. Then I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Whenever I have the narrow scrap pieces of pattern paper, I like to put them on the inside of the card. And that piece is about 3/4 of an inch by 4 inches. I'll be adding 2 of the ephemera pieces. I have the beautiful large fall wreath with the sentiment, "You're so sweet." I did pop it up using some thin foam dimension from scrapbook.com. I'm also adding one of the butterfly ephemera pieces. I did put foam dimension on the back, but just behind the body. That way the wings can fold up and have more of a dimensional look. To finish off the card, I'll add some of the beautiful gems. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. It's so easy to make multiples since there's 2 of each pattern paper and 2 each of all of the die cut pieces. For card design number 2, I selected this lovely pattern paper that has foliage, mushrooms, flowers, and strawberries in the lower left-hand corner. I trimmed down that panel to 5 1/4 of an inch by 4 inches. I'll layer it on some green cardstock from my stash. I believe this is by Basil. I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I decided I would extend that lovely scene using more of the die cut images. I selected 3 of the mushrooms and this sweet little frog, plus the sentiment hello. I'll add the sentiment in the upper right hand corner, and I did pop it up using foam dimension. For the mushrooms, I'm only putting foam dimension behind the top area of the mushroom, and I'll put glue behind the stem. 1 of the mushrooms will go in the lower left hand corner, 2 will go on the right side behind the little frog. The 2 mushrooms on the right side, I will overlap them slightly. I'm just trying to figure out placement before I really push those down. Now I'll add the frog, and I've already put foam dimension on the back. I'll remove the release paper and add the frog in front of the 2 mushrooms on the right side. There was a tiny bit of the ephemera piece hanging off the edge of the card. I simply flipped over my card, used my scissors, and trimmed off the overhang. So there is my finished card, and I love how this one turned out. The frog is super cute. Now moving on to card design number 3, using another pattern paper that has this beautiful scene, and you could simply add a sentiment and bling and this card would be finished. I did cut down the panel to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and I'm layering it on some dark green cardstock. That cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. Then I'll put my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I'll add that narrow strip of pattern paper on the inside, and that's just for a little extra detail. For now, I'm not stamping a sentiment on the inside. I wait until I know who the card recipient will be. Since I donate a lot of my cards, they don't always want a sentiment on the inside. So it's better to just leave it off until I know where the card will be going. In the lower left-hand corner, I did add 2 of the image ephemera pieces. Then I'll put the sentiment, "You're the best." And I did pop that up using foam dimension. Then to finish off the card, I'll add more of the beautiful gem stickers. I'll put 3 in the upper right-hand corner and 2 in the lower left-hand corner. Most of my cards in this video are very simple designs. I'm really focusing on the lovely pattern paper and ephemera. Now moving on to card design number 4. I'm using my favorite pattern paper in the whole collection. I couldn't resist this beautiful autumn scene. I did trim down the panel to 5 1/4 of an inch by 4 inches. I'll layer it on some dark green cardstock. And just for a little extra detail on the card, I'm adding a 1/2 inch strip of the same green cardstock, and I'm putting it about 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom of the card. I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I'll be adding 2 ephemera pieces, the sweet little fox image and the sentiment thank you. And I did put foam dimension on the back of both of them. And I'm using some thin foam squares from Spellbinders. They're 1 millimeter thick, so they don't add a lot of extra bulk. You should be able to mail cards without paying additional postage when you use this thin dimension. I'll put the fox image on the left side of the card, add thank you on the right side of the fox. Then for a final finishing touch, using a small piece of green cardstock, I'll cut a banner and adhere it in the upper right-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. with such beautiful pattern paper, I really didn't want to cover up all the lovely design. For card design number 5, selected pattern paper with the gold foil floral design in the lower left-hand corner, and then the very background of the card is a dark charcoal gray color. I will layer it on some black cardstock from my stash, put ATG tape on the back, and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I'll add that narrow strip of pattern paper on the inside of the card. Then I'll bring in several of the die cut ephemera pieces. I'm adding happy birthday, and all of the ephemera pieces I selected have that beautiful gold finish on it. So this card is super shiny. I did put foam dimension on the back of the sentiment and also behind the 2 bees. But for the foliage piece and the mushroom, I'll glue those down flat. So I'll put the foliage leaf piece on the left side. The mushroom will peek out above the sentiment on the right side. Then I'll remove the release paper on the foam, add the sentiment in the lower left-hand corner. Next, I'll add the 2 bees. One I'll put above the sentiment and in front of the leaf foliage, and the other I'll put in the upper right-hand corner. On a few of my die cut pieces, I noticed a tiny white tab. If that doesn't bother you, you can just leave it. I like to trim those little pieces off. To finish off the card, I'm adding more of the gem stickers. This is a black color with those gold flakes inside, so it's really sparkly. I'll put 2 in the upper left-hand corner and 1 above the sentiment on the right side. I love the contrast with the gold against the dark black background. Now moving on to my final card design. For the background of my card, I've already embossed some cream colored cardstock, and I use Spellbinders Dazzling Dots embossing folder. I'll be adding a 2.5 inch strip of pattern paper. It looks like someone used a paintbrush and added all these different swipes of watercolor. I'll be adding the pattern paper piece at the bottom of the emboss panel, and since the pattern paper is on the thinner side, I don't want all the texture from the embossed background to be popping through on the pattern paper. So I did use a bone folder and flattened just the bottom portion of that background piece. Now I'll layer this on some dark green cardstock, and for this cardstock layer, it's an additional 1/4 of an inch. So my background piece is 4 inches by 5¼ inches, and the cardstock layer is A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. To add some separation between the pattern paper and the cardstock background, I am adding a narrow strip of the dark green cardstock. This piece is about 3/8 of an inch by 4 1/4 of an inch. Now I'll add several of the die cut images and also a sentiment. The main die cut image is a pile of letters. There might be a little package tucked in there as well. And I'll put 3 foliage pieces behind it. I will put some foam dimension behind the letter ephemera piece using scrapbook.com's 1/4 inch foam in the 1mm thickness. Before I adhere that down, I'll first put the 3 foliage pieces behind it. For a couple of the foliage pieces, I am popping the end of the leaves up with some foam dimension, but for the rest, I'll glue it down using Barely Art glue. On all 3 of the foliage pieces, I am tearing off the bottom stem, since I don't want those peeking out the bottom of the package or letter ephemera piece. I'll add the green foliage piece on the very left side. Then I'll add a foliage piece that has all gold foiling. And behind that piece, I did pop up the very end with foam dimension. Now I'll add the brown leaf piece on the right side. And I did put some foam dimension behind 2 of the leaves. Next, I'll add the letter ephemera piece in front of the 3 foliage pieces. For a sentiment, I'm adding Hello Friend on this lovely soft peach banner. The left side of the sentiment will sit on the letter ephemera piece, and the right side will be going off the edge. So that very right side, I'll need some thicker foam dimension, and then I'll put the regular thin foam dimension behind the left side. And that will keep it at the same level. I'll remove the release paper and adhere the sentiment in place. For final finishing touch, using more of the lovely gems. Since I am adhering them on an embossed surface, I want to make sure they stay in place. They do have adhesive on the back, but I'll also add a small drop of Barely Art glue. I'll put 3 gems in the upper right hand corner and 2 in the lower left hand corner. And since I already had the glue out, I'll also add a small drop of glue, even on the pattern paper area. Never hurts to have a little extra adhesive. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Now here's another look at the 12 cards I made using Spellbinders' brand new Woodland Tales collection. I used the 6x6 paper, both of the die cut packs, the shapes and sentiments, and also the coordinating gem stickers. There are other items that are part of this collection, and if you want to check them out, I do have links in the description box below. Sometimes it's fun to just play with pretty pattern paper and lovely die cut images and sentiments. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.